Yeah, talking freedom and liberation. Worldwide, not just only for the nation. A radical guide, it's time to make changes. Bringing interviews and radical education. Yeah, a better future.
Welcome to A Radical Podcast. I'm Jason Bayless, guiding you through today's journey, embarking on a thought-provoking exploration centered around strikes. These acts of resistance are not just found in the pages of our past. They continue to assert their relevance in our current times as vital mechanisms for collective voice and societal transformation. Today, we'll explore various facets, from the notable upswing in global strike activities that we've witnessed in 2023 to the intricate aspects of how strikes are organized and the different forms, and even zooming in on community-focused efforts like General Strike US. Our aim? To weave together an understanding of strikes, spotlighting their enduring capacity to question dominant paradigms and catalyze discussions that can reshape our world.
Let's go!
In the panorama of global labor movements, 2023 emerges as a watershed year, resonating with the cadence of collective dissent and aspirations. The fabric of labor unrest weaves across diverse industries and regions, echoing a global narrative of demand for better working conditions, fair treatment, and inclusivity in decision-making processes. The rise in strikes, from 180 strikes involving 43,700 workers to a significant 312 strikes rallying approximately 453,000 workers within a span of 2 years, encapsulates a broader societal and political narrative. Here's a snapshot of some poignant moments in the 2023 strike landscape. Continuing strikes from 2022, a ripple of unrest continues from the previous year, with employees from various sectors like Medieval Times in California, HarperCollins, and the National Health Service, among others, holding the baton of dissent against unmet demands and systemic issues. January, the year commenced with French pension reform unrest, Israeli judicial reform protests, and Lebanese teachers embarking on a strike for better conditions, setting a precedent for the unfolding labor movements. February, the month saw Alaskan school bus drivers, Canadian women's soccer players, and Palestinian teachers, among others, voicing their grievances through strikes, showcasing the diversity in the causes and the sectors involved. March, German public transport workers, Fraser Valley transit workers in Canada, and New Zealand teachers were among those who took to strikes, resonating with the global trend of labor unrest. April, the advocacy for better conditions and fair treatment continued with Canadian federal workers, Los Angeles teachers, and Nigerian airport employees marking their dissent. May, the month saw a diverse range of strikes from the Writers Guild of America to Romanian teachers and workers at the Ulyanovsk automobile plant in Russia, underlining the global nature of labor movements. June, the juxtaposition of different industries was evident with Gannett employees, Hydro Ottawa workers, and staff at Le Journal du Dimanche in France, among those who protested various issues. July to August, the activism carried through with members of SAG-AFTRA, workers at BC Port, Earnbrew, Robert Wood Johnson University Hospital, and a notable strike at Sogo and AMP Seibu in Japan, which protested the store's sale to the American Fortress Investment Group, marking the first strike at a major department store in Japan in over 60 years. September and October, the momentum sustained with UK railway workers, Kaiser Permanente nurses in California, and UAW Mack truck workers in the US, further contributing to the narrative of collective resistance in September and October. The strikes of 2023 are not isolated events, but a part of a burgeoning global labor narrative. They mirror a shared sentiment among workers across different cultures and political systems. The narrative of these strikes transcends regional boundaries, reflecting a collective endeavor to challenge the status quo and steer towards a trajectory of systemic change and social justice. The diverse nature of these strikes, from educators to transit workers, healthcare professionals to academic staff, and from media to retail employees, underscores a shared global aspiration for a more equitable work environment and a more just society. The undercurrent of these labor movements highlights a profound narrative of resistance, painting a picture of a global workforce increasingly cognizant of its rights and more assertive in demanding justice, equity, and dignity in the workplace. The rising tide of strikes around the globe encapsulates a narrative of hope, resilience, and an unwavering spirit of solidarity among the working class, poised perhaps on the cusp of a transformative era in labor relations. As we reflect on the multitude of strikes occurring globally, each advocating for specific reforms in their respective sectors, one can't help but ponder a deeper, perhaps more radical question. Imagine the immense power and transformative potential that could be harnessed if all these disparate groups unified their efforts. If all these voices, demanding change in myriad ways, converged into a single chorus, might we be able to not just reform, but revolutionize the very systems we operate within? Instead of incremental changes in isolated areas, could we collectively architect a holistic reimagining of what work, dignity, and justice look like on a global scale?
A radical guide, that's what this is. Highlighting the diverse world of resistance.
The essence of a general strike encompasses more than merely a halt in labor. It represents a collective pause, a societal heartbeat that resonates across the spectrums of class, culture, and commerce. The concept of a general strike is both profound and pragmatic, embodying a communal call for change, a halt to the ordinary, urging a reconsideration of the established norms. The term general strike is not as old as the hills, but its roots trace back to the times when industrialization began altering the societal fabric, entangling individuals in the looms of labor far beyond the familial field or the community craft. The phrase emerged as a response to the Industrial Revolution, which, while propelling society into a new era of production and profit, often trampled upon the rights and dignities of the workers who fueled this very progress. The Industrial Revolution in the 18th and 19th centuries brought about significant socio-economic changes, introducing the factory system and wage labor. These changes fostered a new class of laborers whose livelihoods were tied to the whims of their employers and the market. Amidst the clattering machines and towering chimneys, the concept of a general strike sprouted as a seed of resistance against the exploitative labor practices and the burgeoning gap between the capitalist class and the working class. The term general strike encapsulated the idea of a coordinated halt in work by laborers across different sectors and regions, aiming to bring the machinery of capitalism to a standstill, if only momentarily. It symbolized a collective demand for better working conditions, fair wages, and a voice in the political arena, transcending the boundaries of a single factory or a solitary industry. The idea of a general strike is intertwined with the broader labor movement, which sought to rally the working class against the exploitative practices of the burgeoning industrial and capitalist order. It represented a form of mass protest, where the weapon was the withdrawal of labor, the very engine powering the industrial society. The general strike became a clarion call for collective action, a mechanism for societal dialogue and political change. As the wheels of industry spun faster, the idea of a general strike echoed louder through the halls of factories and the streets of burgeoning industrial towns, reverberating across borders, through time, into the heart of modern-day resistances. This episode embarks on a journey through time and across geographies, unraveling the fabric of general strikes, dissecting their forms, their mechanics, and their impact on the tapestry of global resistance movements. Through the lens of history and the prism of contemporary events, we will dive deeper into understanding the enduring legacy and the unyielding potential of general strikes as instruments of societal reflection and revolutionary change. To fully understand the significance and impact of a general strike, it's crucial to examine its various dimensions. 1. Social dimension. A general strike serves as a unifying event that cuts across social classes, professions, and communities. It's a moment where societal norms are questioned and new forms of solidarity are formed. 2. Economic dimension. Beyond a simple stoppage of work, a general strike brings economic activities to a standstill. This serves as a direct challenge to capitalist systems, highlighting the power imbalance between labor and capital. 3. Historical dimension. The concept of the general strike is rooted in history. Originating as a response to the Industrial Revolution, it has been used as a tool for change in various socio-political contexts across the globe. As we explore the realms of general strikes, it's essential to understand their core forms. At the heart of it, general strikes primarily manifest in two distinct forms, each with its unique goals and methods. Let's unravel them, shall we? First up is the political strike. Imagine a vast sea of workers, united not just in their grievances, but in their demand for specific political or economic reforms. The essence of a political strike lies in its aim to trigger tangible policy changes or governmental concessions. It's about hitting the pause button on the daily grind to make a collective shout for better wages, fairer working conditions, or even legislative changes. Take, for example, the wave of strikes that swept across the United States in 1945 and 1946. Over 4.6 million workers downed their tools, demanding better wages in the aftermath of World War II. Their collective action was a clear message to the powers that be, advocating for economic fairness. Now let's hop across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom in 1926. The General Strike of 1926 was a monumental moment where workers stood together, demanding better working conditions and fair wages. Though the strike lasted only 9 days, its impact resonated through the corridors of power, marking a significant chapter in the annals of British labor movement. Now, on to our second form, the revolutionary strike. This form of a strike is a radical call for change. It's not just about reform, it's about overhauling the existing socio-economic structures. Revolutionary strikes dream big. They envision a world free from the shackles of capitalism and often the state itself. It's about rallying the masses to challenge and change the systemic inequities that bind them. Take a moment to travel back to 1905 Russia. The revolutionary fervor was in the air, and a general strike was the match that lit the fire of resistance against the Tsarist autocracy. It was a precursor to the tumultuous Bolshevik Revolution of 1917, showcasing the profound potential of revolutionary strikes to reshape the political landscape. Now let's journey to Canada in 1919 to the bustling city of Winnipeg. The Winnipeg General Strike, though not successful in achieving its revolutionary goals, echoed a sentiment of radical change, inspiring subsequent labor movements across the globe. These core forms of general strikes, though distinct in their aims, are united in their essence of solidarity and resistance. They reflect the collective consciousness of the masses, their aspirations for a just society, and their courage to challenge the oppressive structures that seek to bind them. As we transition into the historical landscape of general strikes, these core forms serve as a lens, helping us explore the varied manifestations and profound impacts of general strikes across different socio-political landscapes globally. Through understanding these core forms, we'll unearth the rich tapestry of collective action that general strikes represent, shedding light on the spectrum of change they can engender in the face of systemic oppression and exploitation. As we traverse the corridors of history, the echoes of general strikes reverberate through time, each one a unique note in a symphony of collective resistance. The narrative of general strikes is interwoven with the struggle for workers' rights and social justice, from the cobblestone streets of early 20th century Europe to the bustling industrial towns of North America. Our journey begins with a pivotal moment in the annals of labor resistance, the Haymarket Affair of 1886 in Chicago. This event was part of a larger movement striving for an 8-hour workday. The fervor for shorter workdays was not merely a quest for better working conditions, but a defiant stance against the oppressive industrial work regime. It was a political strike aimed at achieving tangible reform, with ripples that would extend far beyond the shores of Lake Michigan. On May 4th, 1886, a peaceful rally at Haymarket Square turned tragic when a bomb was thrown at the police, leading to the deaths of several police officers and civilians. Though the rally was addressing police brutality against striking workers from the day before, it was an extension of a broader labor movement seeking systemic change in labor laws. The aftermath of Haymarket was twofold. On one hand, it sparked a wave of repression and fear, with labor activists facing the full brunt of the law in a highly prejudiced trial. On the other hand, it catalyzed a global movement for workers' rights. The demand for an 8-hour workday gained momentum, morphing into a clarion call for labor unions worldwide. The concept of a general strike as a powerful tool for collective bargaining and political change was now etched in the consciousness of the global labor movement. The Haymarket Affair, though tragic, showcased the power of a political strike to draw attention to workers' rights and propel the movement for labor reforms. It highlighted the ability of workers to halt the gears of industry, to challenge the status quo, and to demand a seat at the table. The affair illustrated how a general strike, even when faced with brutal repression, could spark a dialogue and ignite a movement that transcended borders. As a significant milestone, The Haymarket Affair emphasized the potential of general strikes to disrupt the ordinary and challenge the prevailing system, forging a legacy that would inspire subsequent generations of labor activists. The echoes of Haymarket resonate through subsequent general strikes, each a unique narrative of resistance, yet all intertwined in the global tapestry of labor movements striving for a more equitable world. Fast forward to the dawn of the 20th century, a period of turbulence and transition. We find ourselves amidst the sprawling expanse of the Russian Empire under the iron fist of Tsarist autocracy. The year 1905 was a tinderbox of social discontent, political repression, and burgeoning revolutionary fervor. At the heart of the storm was the general strike of October 1905, a monumental act of collective defiance that would echo through revolutionary history. The general strike of October 1905 was unequivocally a revolutionary strike, aimed at shaking the very pillars of the autocratic state, far beyond mere labor reforms. As the calendar pages turned to October, a wave of unrest surged across the vast stretches of the Russian Empire. Workers, fed up with the crushing yoke of autocracy and the dismal abyss of working conditions, rallied to the call of a general strike. The call was not merely for better wages or shorter hours. It was a clarion call for political transformation, a call to dismantle the chains of autocracy that shackled the vast masses of the Russian populace. On October 12, 1905, the general strike commenced. The gears of the Russian industrial machine ground to a halt. Factories silenced their smokestacks, trains stood still on their tracks, and the hum of daily commerce faded into a profound stillness. The strike wasn't confined to the industrial heartlands. It reverberated through the halls of academia, with students boycotting classes, and echoed through the corridors of theaters, with actors refusing to perform. It was a revolutionary strike in the truest sense, transcending the bounds of class and occupation. The heart of the empire, St. Petersburg, pulsed with the rhythm of resistance. Demonstrations flooded the streets, red banners fluttering in the cold autumn breeze, bearing the hopes of millions yearning for a dawn of justice and democracy. The strike morphed into a vast sea of collective action, shaking the very foundations of Tsarist autocracy. The repercussions of this revolutionary strike were monumental. It forced the Tsar to issue the October Manifesto, granting basic civil liberties and creating a legislative assembly, the Duma. Though the concessions were limited and the road to democracy was still shrouded in the mist of despotism, the general strike of 1905 was a beacon of what collective action could achieve. Moreover, the 1905 general strike set the stage for the revolutionary waves that would eventually culminate in the Bolshevik Revolution of 1917. It demonstrated the potency of a revolutionary strike as a mechanism of systemic challenge, a catalyst for political transformation, and a forge for revolutionary fervor. The 1905 Russian Revolution underscored the indomitable spirit of the masses, the unyielding power of solidarity, and the unassailable potential of a revolutionary strike to challenge the citadels of power and aspire for a realm of justice, equity, and political emancipation. It left an indelible mark on the global narrative of resistance, exemplifying the essence of a revolutionary strike in its profound quest for systemic change. As we cross the English Channel, we land on the shores of Britain, a land steeped in industrial legacy and labor movements. The year 1926 etched a profound chapter in this legacy, marking the occurrence of a significant political strike that reverberated through the social fabric of the British Isles. The general strike of 1926 emerged from a cauldron of economic distress and industrial discontent, brewing against a backdrop of post-war economic slump and mounting antagonism between labor and capital. The spark that ignited the flame was the government and mine owners' attempts to lower wages and extend working hours within the coal mining industry, a sector that was the beating heart of British industrial might. The Trade Union Congress, TUC, representing a broad spectrum of British labor, rallied to the cause, calling for a general strike in solidarity with the coal miners. On May 3, 1926, over 1.7 million workers from various industries heeded the call, laying down their tools and embarking on a political strike that aimed to halt the hands of exploitation and economic injustice. The streets of industrial cities like London, Manchester, and Glasgow became the arenas of collective assertion. The strike saw a wide swath of the working class, from railway workers to print workers, from dockers to iron workers, uniting under a common banner of resistance against the government's attempts to impose unjust economic measures. Though the general strike lasted just 9 days, its impact was far reaching. It was a political strike aimed at challenging specific government policies rather than an overarching systemic overhaul. The strike did not achieve its immediate objectives, as the TUC called off the strike on May 12th, fearing a drift towards a revolutionary confrontation. However, it showcased the collective might of the British working class and underscored the potential of organized labor to challenge the status quo. The general strike of 1926 left a lasting imprint on the British labor movement. It highlighted the necessity and the potential of solidarity across different sectors of the working class in challenging unfair economic policies. Moreover, it stimulated a national dialogue around workers' rights, industrial relations, and the role of trade unions in British society. The 1926 general strike is emblematic of the political strike form, underlining how workers can unite in a concerted effort to challenge specific policies and seek tangible reforms. It stands as a testament to the power of political strikes in fostering a dialogue around economic justice, even in the face of formidable opposition. Our narrative sails across the Atlantic, and as we anchor on the shores of the Pacific, we find ourselves amidst the rolling fog and iconic hills of San Francisco. The year is 1934, a time when the specter of the Great Depression loomed large over the American landscape. The economic despondence of the era was a fertile ground for labor discontent, and San Francisco became the epicenter of a formidable display of organized labor's resolve, the San Francisco General Strike. The crucible of the strike was the waterfront, where longshoremen, weary of dismal wages, horrendous working conditions, and the iron grip of employer-controlled hiring halls, rallied under the banner of the International Longshoremen's Association. The initial spark was the Longshoremen's Strike, which commenced on May 9, 1934. However, as the days rolled into weeks, the struggle on the docks catalyzed a broader movement that rippled through the city's working class. On July 5, 1934, known as Bloody Thursday, the simmering tensions boiled over when police fired on striking longshoremen, resulting in 2 deaths and numerous injuries. The city was aghast, and the outrage fanned the flames of solidarity. A call for a general strike was echoed by the San Francisco Labor Council, and on July 16th, the San Francisco General Strike commenced. For 4 days, San Francisco stood still. Over 150,000 workers from diverse sectors walked off their jobs. The streets echoed with the cries for economic justice, resonating far beyond the city by the bay, across the sprawling expanse of America. It was a political strike aimed at challenging the oppressive capitalist structures and demanding fair wages, better working conditions, and union recognition. The strike demonstrated the potential of organized labor to halt the wheels of commerce, to challenge the established capitalist order, and to rally the broader community in solidarity with the working class. Though the strike faced staunch opposition from the city's business elite and a hostile media, it eventually led to significant concessions, including union recognition and improved working conditions. The San Francisco General Strike of 1934 wasn't merely a local skirmish. It was a call for economic justice that reverberated across the nation. It inspired a series of labor actions and nurtured a culture of resistance that contributed to a nationwide surge in union organizing. It emboldened the labor movement, showcasing the power of political strikes as a mechanism for challenging economic oppression and advocating for a more equitable industrial landscape. As we traverse the temporal waves into the latter half of the 20th century, we find ourselves amidst the bustling streets and quaint cafes of France. The year 1968 heralded a season of discontent, a period where the air was thick with revolutionary zeal and the spirit of change. France, with its rich history of political discourse and social movements, became the stage for a grand spectacle of collective defiance, the general strikes of 1968. The reverberations of revolutionary fervor resonated through the corridors of factories, the halls of academia, and the heart of the bourgeoisie society. The initial spark was ignited by students, disenchanted with the rigid educational system and the conservative societal norms. Their dissent blossomed into a broader social movement, challenging the status quo and aspiring for a new dawn of political and social consciousness. The flames of rebellion soon ignited the hearts of the working class. On May 13, 1968, following a massive joint demonstration between students and workers, the unions called for a general strike. The response was thunderous. Over 10 million workers, nearly two-thirds of the French workforce, laid down their tools, and joined the chorus of change. It was a revolutionary strike, an audacious endeavor to challenge not merely the economic disparities, but the very ideological foundations of the society. The streets of Paris and other French cities morphed into arenas of debate, discussion, and demonstration. Red flags fluttered against the backdrop of historic edifices, symbolizing a united front against conservative government policies and societal norms. The strike was not confined to demand better wages or working conditions. It was a profound call to rewrite the social contract, to reimagine a society where the voices of the many weren't drowned by the whims of the few. The strikes of 1968 were a blend of revolutionary and political aspirations. They emerged amidst a broader social movement, a whirlpool of political discourse that sought to redefine the relationship between the individual and the state, between the worker and the employer, and between the student and the society. The legacy of the 1968 general strikes in France reverberated through time and space. It showcased the potential of a revolutionary strike to foster a dialogue that transcended the industrial realm, spilling over into the broader socio-political landscape. It was a testament to the power of collective action in challenging the established order and aspiring for a more equitable and open society. The 1968 general strikes in France are emblematic of the unyielding spirit of resistance, showcasing how the synergy between different segments of society can catalyze a movement that challenges the status quo on multiple fronts, nurturing the seeds of change that continue to inspire generations of activists and dreamers. As we leap forward in time to the year 2020, we find ourselves amidst the bustling cities and verdant countryside of India. The socio-political tapestry of India was stirred by a tempest of collective dissent as it bore witness to one of the largest general strikes in recorded history. Amidst the cacophony of globalization and the tightening grip of neoliberal policies, the Indian working class rallied to voice its discontent against a slew of government reforms that threatened to erode the rights and livelihoods of millions. The fulcrum of discontent were the labor reforms and farm bills introduced by the government, perceived as a harbinger of exploitation and corporate encroachment into the agrarian and labor sectors. The discontent simmered, and on November 26, 2020, it erupted into a colossal display of collective action. Over 250 million workers, farmers, and allies heeded the call for a general strike, laying down their tools and marching onto the streets in a united front against the neoliberal onslaught. This was a political strike, a unified outcry against specific governmental policies that threatened to undermine the economic security and rights of the working class and the agrarian community. The participants spanned a broad spectrum, from industrial laborers in urban centers to farmers in the rural heartland, manifesting a panoramic display of solidarity. The streets reverberated with the cries for economic justice, resonating across the vast expanse of the subcontinent, challenging the ethos of neoliberal reforms. The strike brought the nation to a standstill, disrupting the veins of commerce and transportation, symbolizing a robust challenge to the status quo. The 2020 Indian general strike was not merely an episodic outburst. It was a profound expression of political dissent, exemplifying the enduring spirit of resistance against economic oppression. It underscored the collective might of the working class and the agrarian community in challenging the governmental policies, advocating for a more equitable economic framework. The ripple effects of this monumental strike transcended the borders of India, capturing the global imagination and rekindling the discourse around the power of organized labor and political strikes in the face of neoliberal policies. It stood as a testament to the undying resolve of the masses to challenge the tide of economic injustice and aspire for a realm of economic equity and social justice. Through these historical landmarks, we begin to grasp the monumental role general strikes have played in shaping the socio-political landscapes across the globe. The tapestry of general strikes, woven with threads of both political and revolutionary ambitions, serves as a testament to the ability of the collective to challenge the status quo and aspire for a world of justice and equity. The seeds sown by the toils and solidarity of the working class continue to inspire modern-day movements, reinforcing the unyielding power of collective action in the face of systemic oppression. The tapestry of general strikes unfurls a tale of collective defiance, a narrative of unity against the edifice of entrenched powers. However, like shadows cast by the blazing spirit of collective action, opposition from state and global powers looms large, often seeking to quell the flame of resistance. As we navigate through the annals of labor movements, we encounter the arsenal of tactics employed by the state and global entities to either undermine, deter, or dismantle the spirit of general strikes. Let's first venture into the realm of state opposition. At the forefront, we find legislative measures. Laws, the very framework that governs our societal operations, can be molded to serve as a barrier to general strikes. Legislation may be tailored to restrict the right to strike, set high barriers for union representation, or devise penalties that hang ominously over the heads of striking workers and their organizations. Now let's stroll down the streets, where the symphony of dissent often resonates. These streets can quickly morph into arenas of confrontation. Law enforcement, vested with the duty to maintain order, can sometimes become an arm of suppression. The clash of batons against the ideals of justice and freedom embodied in every striker becomes a visual and symbolic representation of this confrontation. Furthermore, in the quest to win hearts and minds, states may unsheathe the weapon of propaganda. By painting strikers as harbingers of chaos, they attempt to sever the bonds of solidarity and sow seeds of distrust among the public. Shifting our gaze to the global arena, we find economic pressures at play. The global economy, with its strings often plucked by powerful entities, can orchestrate economic pressures to choke the financial lifelines of striking movements. This is especially pronounced when these movements challenge the tenets of neoliberalism or pose threats to foreign investments. On the geopolitical chessboard, nations grappling with general strikes might find themselves checkmated by global powers. These powers, leveraging their influence within international forums, might maneuver politically, especially when the strikes resonate with anti capitalist or anti imperialist chants. The influence of multinational corporations cannot be overlooked. Their reach stretches far and wide, intertwining with state apparatus and global powers, forming a trident of opposition against general strikes. Their influence could infiltrate the media, political chambers, and the very streets where the battle for rights rages on. Now, amidst this daunting opposition, the narrative of general strikes also unfolds tales of resilience. Movements evolve, adapt, and learn from the ashes of confrontation, forging stronger bonds of solidarity that defy borders. The ripples of opposition catalyze waves of cross-border solidarity, nurturing a global camaraderie that stands defiant against the behemoths of state and global powers. The mechanisms employed by states and global entities span a broad spectrum, from the judicial gavel that falls heavily, caging the spirit of general strikes within a cold, iron cage of legal repercussions, to economic sanctions and punitive financial measures draining the lifeblood of the movement. Surveillance casts a long, scrutinizing gaze upon these movements, seeking to unravel the threads of collective action through data collection and monitoring. Employment retaliation, the threat of unemployment, looms like a dark cloud, aiming to scatter the gathering storm of a general strike. Furthermore, neoliberal policies such as deregulation and privatization, along with restrictive international trade agreements, all contribute to suppressing collective labor actions. Let's venture into the international landscape, showcasing the resistance to strikes in Colombia, South Korea, and the United States. In Colombia, the agricultural strikes of 2013 and 2014 brought to light the government's deployment of military and police forces to maintain order. This often resulted in clashes with protesters, detentions, and stigmatization of protesters as vandals or insurgents to delegitimize the movement. South Korea, too, has a rich history of labor movements. During the 2015 to 2016 protests and strikes against labor reforms, a robust police presence was deployed to maintain order and control, with tactics including the arrest of union leaders to deter the momentum of labor movements. Lastly, the 1981 air traffic controllers strike in the United States serves as a stark demonstration of state opposition to labor strikes. The Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization, seeking better working conditions, better pay, and a 32-hour work week, faced the sweeping decision by President Ronald Reagan to fire over 11,000 striking air traffic controllers, marking a significant instance of state opposition to labor strikes in modern U.S. history. Through this odyssey of confrontation and resilience, we discern the monumental role general strikes play, not just as a crucible of collective action, but also as a mirror reflecting the countenance of state and global powers. Each stroke of opposition, Each mechanism of suppression unveils the lengths to which the towers of power might stretch to silence the drums of dissent. Yet, the rhythm of resistance resounds through the ages, a testament to the indomitable spirit of collective action in the saga of general strikes. The unfolding narrative of general strikes reveals the profound might of collective action. Behind this mammoth force lies a well coordinated machinery of careful planning, extensive mobilization, adept communication, actionable execution, and reflective evaluation. Each small but crucial gear in this mechanism propels the grand wheels of general strikes, converting individual grievances into a formidable wave of collective resistance against prevailing norms. Now let's venture into the realm of political and revolutionary strikes. A political strike is characterized by its focus on specific political objectives, a targeted approach, if you will. On the flip side, revolutionary strikes have a broader canvas, aiming for a more expansive societal or governmental transformation. They envision a comprehensive overhaul of existing structures. A notable illustration of a revolutionary strike is the 2011 Egyptian Revolution. The objective was clear cut: to dismantle the enduring Mubarak regime. This monumental endeavor was driven by a collaborative spirit among diverse political factions and activists. The synergy among them was palpable, reflecting a shared aspiration for change. As we peel back the layers, we find that the germination of political and revolutionary strikes often occurs in the fertile ground of existing social or political discontent. The first step on this journey is the assembly of organizing committees, the linchpin in planning, aligning goals, and crafting a unified message. Take, for instance, the meticulous orchestration of the 2011 Egyptian Revolution. The organizing committees were the architects, drawing the blueprint for action, aligning the objectives, and ensuring the message resonated far and wide. Now, on to mobilization and participation. The muscle of the movement, if you may. Engaging networks of activists, unions, and social organizations is crucial for drumming up support and ensuring a formidable show of solidarity. This collective muscle flexes its power, creating a ripple effect that reverberates through the social fabric. Communication and coordination, the next layers in our exploration, are indispensable for articulating political goals to both participants and the wider public. Transparent communication sets the stage, while adept coordination choreographs the movement, ensuring every stride is in unison. And then comes the execution phase. It's where the rubber meets the road. Mass assemblies, protests, and collective action spotlight the political issues at stake. The streets echo with the collective voice of dissent, spotlighting the issues and challenging the status quo. Lastly, we have evaluation and follow up. Post strike, it's time to assess the political ripple effects, understand authorities' responses, and strategize for forthcoming actions. It's about reflecting on the journey, understanding the landscape, and laying the foundation for the road ahead. Each step, each phase is a learning curve, a stepping stone towards the larger goal, the broader vision. The narrative of political and revolutionary strikes is a tapestry of meticulous planning, collective action, and reflective evaluation. Each phase, from the germination of the idea to the post strike evaluation, is a crucial chapter in the ever evolving narrative of political and revolutionary strikes. Now, let's transition to the realm of wildcat strikes. Wildcat strikes are akin to the sudden, unexpected storms in the labor landscape. They are spontaneous, unofficial, and often unannounced actions that sidestep formal union channels. Typically, they are triggered by specific grievances or unfavorable work conditions. They embody the immediate response, the urgent call to action when patience wears thin and official channels seem to turn a deaf ear. Consider the 1968 San Francisco state strike. Now, while it doesn't fit the traditional mold of a wildcat strike, it certainly embodies the spirit of spontaneous, organic mobilization. The issues at hand were nothing short of systemic racism and a call for the establishment of an ethnic studies program. The strike was a spontaneous response, an organic mobilization against the institutional barriers that stood tall and unyielding. Now, let's dissect the anatomy of wildcat strikes. Planning and organization in such strikes are like setting the stage with barely a script in hand. The absence of formal authorization necessitates swift consensus building among aggrieved parties. The San Francisco state strike showcases this organic evolution, where the initial spark ignited a collective resolve that soon caught fire, spreading through the campus and beyond, onto mobilization and participation. In the world of wildcat strikes, mobilization is typically organic and rapid. Informal networks play a pivotal role, acting as the veins through which the fervor of dissent flows, spreading the call for action far and wide. Communication and coordination in wildcat strikes are like navigating uncharted waters with decentralized and informal communication channels. It necessitates agile coordination among participants, akin to an impromptu dance where every step is a reaction to the rhythm of the collective heartbeat. Execution is where the storm hits. Wildcat strikes thrive on the collective determination to address grievances promptly, often amidst a climate of uncertainty. The resolve to stand firm even when the skies seem stormy is what propels the strike forward. Evaluation and follow up, though less structured, are like the calm after the storm. They are vital for understanding the impact, for gathering insights for future actions. It's a time for reflection, for understanding the lay of the land post storm, and for gathering seeds of wisdom for the storms yet to come. Wildcat strikes are the sudden storms of the labor movement, spontaneous reactions to pressing grievances. Each phase, from the initial spark to the reflective calm post strike, forms a narrative of urgency, of collective resolve, and of the indomitable spirit that challenges the status quo, seeking to carve out a space for justice and equity in the labor landscape. Now, we venture into the domain of general strikes. Picture this: a vast sea of workers from varied industries, uniting under a common banner, halting the wheels of industry to tackle common issues. General strikes are these large scale pauses in labor, transcending the confines of individual workplaces or sector boundaries. Let's take a historical stroll to 1936, to the heart of France. The nation witnessed the remarkable potential of a well organized general strike. Over 1 million workers laid down their tools, paused their labor, demanding better working conditions and political reforms. The spectacle was nothing short of a powerful testament to the potency of unified action. Now, onto the anatomy of general strikes. At the core, planning and organization act as the heartbeat. A clear vision, steered by a central organizing committee, lays the groundwork. They set clear objectives that resonate with a broad spectrum of stakeholders, crafting a narrative that's both compelling and cohesive. Mobilization and participation, they are the lifeblood of a general strike. It's all about mass participation, fueled by rigorous recruitment and outreach efforts. A diverse participant tapestry is woven, reflecting a myriad of voices united in a common cause. Communication and coordination act as the nervous system in today's digital epoch. Media and online platforms are pivotal. A well designed media strategy, paired with the digital platforms, facilitates seamless coordination and information sharing. It's about bolstering the general strike narrative against the cacophony of opposing viewpoints, ensuring the core message pierces through the din. Execution is the battlefield where planning transitions into action. It's a sharp focus on managing logistics, navigating unforeseen hurdles, and keeping the collective spirit unyielding and focused. Evaluation and follow up, this is the harbor where the ship of collective action docks post storm. It's ripe for reflection and growth, with debriefings unearthing valuable insights. Sustained engagement kindles the flames of activism, ensuring the narrative continues to thrive, fostering a culture of continuous growth and activism. General strikes are a colossal embodiment of collective action, a demonstration of the power inherent in unity. Each phase, from meticulous planning to insightful evaluation, is a chapter in a grand narrative. The mechanics of general strikes that we explored manifest a delicate interplay between art and science, meticulously choreographing the notion of collective action into a tangible, formidable force. Each facet, from planning to evaluation, contributes to a resonant movement of organized dissent, reverberating through the labor movement's historical narrative, amplifying the undying spirit of collective defiance against established powers. Over time, these mechanics have adapted to societal and technological shifts, reflecting a dynamic interaction between labor movements and the broader socio-political environment. Viewed through a global prism, these mechanics display variations across different political and cultural terrains, yet the fundamental essence remains unaltered, symbolizing the universal spirit of collective action. Strikes ripple powerfully across our societal, political, and economic realms, creating echoes that are hard to ignore. Yet, striking the right chord in this vast symphony is an intricate dance of its own. Imagine kickstarting one. It's far from just flipping a switch. Think of it as uniting a diverse choir, each voice as unique as a hue in a rainbow. Combining these into a singular harmonious melody is like trying to hold onto a handful of sand without letting a single grain slip. Then there's the challenge of communication. Messages, when passed through myriad channels, risk getting diluted or misunderstood. It's a challenge akin to playing a game where a message starts as one thing and evolves into something else by the end. In the world of strikes, ensuring this message's purity is paramount, more so when there might be attempts to muddy the waters. And layered on top of this is the logistics challenge. Beyond just rallying the masses, it's a task that demands ensuring their safety, adhering to laws, and maintaining order. However, having an orchestra play in harmony is one thing. Facing the audience, that's another ballgame. Governing bodies, more often than not, might not cheer for the performance, particularly if it's their actions under scrutiny. Businesses, too, have their plays. From hiring alternatives, scabs, to standing on legal pedestals, they've got strategies at the ready. And the general public, they're the wild card. If they can't resonate with the why behind the strike, they might view it less as a call for change and more as a disruption. Navigating the sea of criticisms, we face daunting questions. Do strikes deliver? The answer winds through a maze of public sentiment, political strategy, and tangible disruption. Then comes the concern of inclusivity. Amid the collective roar, are some voices overshadowed? And once the storm passes, we're left pondering, did we usher in change or just stir the waters? And sometimes the ripples we create might have unintended effects, sometimes even brushing against those we aim to uplift. Navigating through this intricate tapestry, one undeniable truth stands tall. General strikes, in their essence, are both multifaceted and mighty. Their echoes aren't just a testament to their volume, but are also deeply entwined with the prevailing winds of their times. The challenges and critiques associated with organizing and executing general strikes are intricately connected with how well we organize, listen, and engage with the community. An exemplary tool to mitigate these challenges and provide a platform for inclusive dialogue and action is the People's Movement Assembly, PMA. The PMA is an innovative framework that encourages participatory democracy, creating a space where all stakeholders can come together to discuss, plan, and act towards common goals. This process fosters a democratic ethos, ensuring that the specific needs and grievances of all participating groups are considered, creating a platform for collective deliberation and decision making. By engaging communities in discussions and planning, the PMA ensures that the voices of marginalized or underrepresented groups are heard. This level of engagement fosters a sense of ownership and inclusivity among all participants. The PMA process facilitates collective visioning, where the diverse groups involved can articulate their goals, share their concerns, and collaborate on crafting a unified vision for the movement. The assembly process helps in networking and building solidarity among different groups, thereby fostering a sense of inclusivity and collective purpose. The inclusion of the People's Movement Assembly model in the organization and execution of general strikes could provide a robust framework for ensuring that the diverse needs and grievances of all participating groups are acknowledged and addressed. Through a structured yet flexible process of community engagement, participatory decision making, and collective visioning, the PMA model could significantly enhance the level of inclusivity in general strikes, making them more effective and representative of the broad spectrum of interests within the community. This, in turn, can lead to more impactful strikes that not only highlight critical issues, but also drive substantive changes in policy and societal norms, making strides towards a more equitable and just society. In this segment, we've navigated the diverse terrains of resistance, exploring the various forms of strikes: wildcat, general, political, and revolutionary. Each form, with its unique characteristics and methodologies, contributes to the vibrant tapestry of global resistance movements. From the spontaneous eruptions of wildcat strikes to the meticulously organized general strikes, from the targeted political strikes to the expansive visions of revolutionary strikes, we've traversed a fascinating spectrum of collective action. Through historical and contemporary lenses, we've delved into the mechanisms that underpin these movements, examining the intricacies of planning, mobilization, communication, execution, and evaluation. We've also ventured into the global manifestations of these strikes, touching upon the profound impacts they have had in different societal and governmental contexts. We've further explored the aims and outcomes, dissecting the tangible and intangible impacts these strikes have had on societies and governments. Our journey delved deeper into the challenges and critiques, reflecting on the efficacy, inclusivity, and the potential for change these forms of resistance offer. And we've introduced the concept of the People's Movement Assembly as a viable solution to address some of these challenges, enhancing the inclusivity and effectiveness of such collective actions. As we conclude this segment, it's clear that the tradition of organized resistance is not just a reaction to oppression, but a testament to the indomitable spirit of communities worldwide. It's an assertion of agency, a pursuit of justice, and a manifestation of the collective aspiration for a more equitable world. The stories of resistance we've explored are but a glimpse into the vast expanse of global efforts to challenge the status quo and strive for systemic change. Each strike, each movement, adds a verse to the ongoing narrative of resistance, echoing the enduring quest for justice and equity across the globe. This segment underscores the essence of collective action in shaping the political discourse, in challenging the established norms, and in striving for a more just and equitable society. The strikes we discussed are not isolated incidents, but are intertwined with the broader socio-political fabric, each one contributing to the larger narrative of resistance around the world. As we transition to the next segment, we carry forward a richer understanding of the myriad ways in which individuals and communities mobilize to challenge oppression and envision a better world. The narratives of resistance are as diverse as the world we inhabit, and each one holds lessons, inspirations, and a promise for a more equitable future.
Radical education, yeah, a better future, what we really need, not rooted in capitalism or supremacy.
Transitioning now to our segment, About a Radical Guide, today we'll spotlight an initiative known as General Strike US, which calls upon a network of individuals united by a shared vision to galvanize a general strike for radical change in the country. As we navigate through their principles, a visit to their website, generalstrikeus.com, unveils their core values, which are central to their organizing ethos. They emphasize a structure not bound by a singular organization, but rather a network of individuals committed to a common goal. Let's delve deeper into these values and how they shape the fabric of General Strike US. Firstly, the principle of decentralization shines through their operational model. They advocate for a dispersed distribution of knowledge and power throughout their network, shunning the concentration of these elements among a select few. The embodiment of the starfish model of organizing is notable here, a model that champions a flat organizational structure. In this model, each node or individual operates autonomously, yet in harmony with the broader network. It's a manifestation of resilience, adaptability, and inclusivity, empowering individuals and communities to actively contribute to the collective cause. Transitioning to the value of diversity, General Strike US underscores the significance of fostering a diverse coalition in orchestrating a large-scale general strike. They believe that to truly resonate with a broad spectrum of the population, inclusivity across racial, gender, and ability lines is imperative. By championing all forms of humanity, the initiative aims to create an umbrella under which diverse backgrounds, political ideologies, and religious beliefs find representation and respect. They envision a strike where people from every walk of life come together, united by a common purpose, transcending the barriers that often fragment societies. Lastly, the value of dissent is celebrated as a conduit for change. The initiative perceives dissent not as a discordant note, but as a catalyst, propelling the movement towards innovative solutions and new paths. They express a commitment to abstain from replicating dominant and controlling systems within their vision, adhering to a principle that echoes a long-standing ethos within radical movements, that the tools of oppression cannot dismantle oppressive systems. The blueprint of values laid out by General Strike US provides a fascinating lens through which to explore the dynamics of organizing a general strike aimed at engendering radical change. The emphasis on decentralization fosters a robust and adaptable movement structure. The championing of diversity seeks to build a broad-based coalition reflective of societal multiplicity. And the valuing of dissent aims to nurture a culture of innovative solution seeking, a departure from oppressive status quos. Drawing parallels or distinctions between the values and organizing principles of General Strike US and other radical movements or general strikes discussed earlier in our podcast can provide a nuanced understanding. It's an exploration of how varying organizing principles and values shape the strategies and outcomes of general strikes and other collective actions, painting a vivid picture of the multifaceted landscape of collective resistance. As we reach the conclusion of this segment, it's evident that the narrative of General Strike US provides a rich terrain for exploring the values and organizing methodologies driving collective action. If you're intrigued and wish to delve deeper into the ethos and activities of General Strike US, we encourage you to visit their website at generalstrikeus.com. Moreover, we are thrilled to announce that a Radical Guide has joined forces with General Strike US as partners. This partnership heralds a promising horizon of collaborative endeavors aimed at fostering a culture of radical change and collective action. The synergy between a Radical Guide and General Strike US is bound to yield insightful discussions, shared learning, and impactful initiatives. So, stay tuned for an exciting blend of thought-provoking content and actions as we, alongside General Strike US, strive to navigate the pathways of radical transformation, always with an aim to create a more just and equitable world. Your journey with a Radical Guide is about to get even more enriching, and we are elated to have you aboard as we venture into this new chapter of collective resistance and aspiration for change.
Let's go!
As we draw the curtain on today's episode, the narrative of strikes unfolds as a compelling testament to the power of collective action. Through the lens of history, the myriad form strikes have taken to the modern-day landscape of labor unrest. We've journeyed through the ebbs and flows of this mode of resistance. Our exploration into General Strike US further underscores the evolving ethos of decentralized, community-driven movements, painting a hopeful picture of the potential embedded in united action. The rising cadence of strikes around the globe echoes a resounding call for a more equitable and just society, a call that resonates with the core of radical thought. As we part ways today, let the spirit of inquiry and the essence of community continue to fuel our discussions and actions. Till our next episode, this is Jason Bayless, signing off from a Radical Podcast.
Yeah, talking freedom and liberation. Worldwide, not just only for the nation. A radical guide, it's time to make changes. Bringing interviews and radical education. Yeah, a better future, what we really need. Not rooted in capitalism or supremacy. Yeah, trust, you don't want to miss it. We bring the truth right to you, the past, present, and future. Let's go. A radical guide, that's what this is. Highlighting the diverse world of resistance. Let's go.